Let's answer the most common meat rabbit questions. Why did you choose meat rabbits over chickens? So we actually did have like over 100 chickens at one time that we were growing out for meat, and we did not realize how expensive it would be to feed them. We were spending so much money on feed and taking care of them, and they always seemed to have some kind of problem, especially with the roosters riding on the chickens' backs, and their backs would get all raw, or they're having some kind of disease or something's happening. There was always one that would get out, you'd be chasing around, or you'd lose one and you have no idea why, and they're so sensitive when they're like chicks and they're firstborn. You just lose one for no reason. And by the time we actually processed those chickens, we had about 75 left, and which is still okay, but processing that many chickens, it took forever. And it was so messy, and it was so difficult, and definitely just not great. So by the time we got all of those chickens done, I was so over chickens, like I do not want to do this again. And so we decided that we were going to try meat rabbits, and I had actually never heard of it, but I was super interested, and we started off with just the small little rabbit tractors that you can lift up and move in the yard. And so we had 2 does in that rabbit tractor and bucks separated in another cage. And so we would just take the doe to the buck's cage and breed them, and then it went pretty well our first time around, and both does had babies, and they had over, I think it was about 8 kits. One problem that we did run into is that the does both laid or had their babies in the same nesting box. So we had like 16 babies in one nesting area, which was not good. And so it's just a lot easier if you can keep the does taking care of their own babies, because you don't know who's feeding who, and if one mama is getting depleted or the other one's not doing her job. So we did try to keep the 2 does together, but that just didn't end up working well for us, and that's why we ended up switching to individual cages like these. And we did try colony style for a while, where all of the does were here on the ground, and we really liked that setup because it just gave them freedom to run around and do their thing. They could go in these totes back here. We have little pipes where they could just tunnel down in there and have their nests down there, have their babies. And it sounded really great, but it ended up just being kind of chaotic, and the mamas were fighting over the nests and so territorial, and they ended up like biting each other, chasing each other. It was just chaotic in here, and everybody was so aggressive. The mamas did not seem happy. So we ended up separating them into their own individual cages, their own nesting boxes, and then all of the grow out rabbits, which are the ones that we're going to process and put in the freezer, they still are all out here on the ground growing out for about 12 weeks. Anyways, we chose rabbits over chickens because they are so much cheaper to feed. There is still cost if you're feeding them pellets, but you can grow your own food. Comfrey is one that we love to grow because it grows so fast, comes back every year, and so you can supplement Instead of giving them pellets that day, you give them comfrey in the morning or pellets at night. And there's also so many other things that you can grow, and I'm going to be getting into a lot of that this summer when I'm growing the food for them. We also have a big clover patch, so you can dry all those things and feed them in the winter. But especially in the summer, you can really cut down on your cost of feed, which I feel like is a lot harder to do with chickens. And also processing is a huge thing that was so much easier, because with the chickens it's just such a mess, and plucking those feathers takes forever, and I just feel like the body of a chicken is just a lot harder to do when you're taking the insides out and you're doing all the things. But with meat rabbits, it's just so much faster. When you take the pelts off, they just like peel off. If it is a male, they're a bit tougher than the females, but the females especially just pull right off, and I've actually gotten pretty fast at it now, and it's just all around so much easier. You're not plucking all those feathers, which takes so much time, and time is something that we don't have a lot of on a homestead, and so when something saves you a lot of time, it's just so well worth it. Rabbit and chicken are very similar. There's no gamey taste, there's no weird anything. Some people compare it to turkey, but I would say that chicken has a little bit more of a stronger broth. Rabbit broth is not quite as flavorful, but the meat is so good, and it really tastes just like chicken, especially when you're putting it in soups, and or you make like chicken salad but use rabbit instead, or rabbit tacos or anything like that. It tastes so good. And so they're way cheaper, they're way easier, they're so much easier to take care of. In this rabbit spooked them. In this rabbit tractor, we have never lost one to predators or anything like that. So it's super easy to keep them safe. A lot of people ask, how do we keep them from digging out? And we have a wire on the floor, and then we put the dirt over top of it, so if they dig, they hit the wire, they can't go anywhere. But yeah, they're so much easier to keep safe. They're so quiet. They're not like a rooster that's crowing all the time, and they're just so much easier. So and feeding them, watering them, doing the daily chores, I feel like it's easier. Another common question we get asked is, why did we choose the breeds that we did? We have Californian does, we have one New Zealand buck, and we also have a silver fox buck and a silver fox doe. And so the silver fox, they are really hardy and adaptable, and they also have really good mothering instincts, and they're a really good meat rabbit as well as a rabbit for tanning hides. So they have really, really beautiful colored coats. They're nice and thick and soft, and they're so beautiful. So if you would want to tan hides, but also have a source of meat, silver fox is really, really good for that. Californians are super excellent for feed to meat conversion. They are a really nice size meat rabbit, and they grow really quickly, which you don't want to be feeding your grow out rabbits for long periods of time, because that just wastes money. So they grow really fast, and so mixing those two, the silver fox and the Californian, is kind of giving you all those good things in one grow out rabbit. In New Zealand, they're often used a lot in crossbreeding because they add muscle and size without sacrificing temperament. breeds matter, but consistency and care, efficient systems matter more than chasing the perfect rabbit. Another question is, can meat rabbits make you money? And if you do it right, they can. This is something we're working towards, not something we have totally achieved and are on top of, but you can tan the hides and make them into mittens or comforters or anything like that, and you can sell those things, and because they're homemade and made from your homestead, you can sell them for a lot more. You can make all kinds of things like that and try and sell them, or some people want to, if you can find someone that just wants to buy like raw pelts from you. I have had someone contact me about buying the raw hides because she trains dogs, and she uses the rabbit pelts to like somehow use the scent and train the dogs, and so she likes to have those pelts. So if you can find people that want to buy the pelts, that's a way you can earn money, or tanning the pelts and selling that stuff, maybe like an Etsy store or something like that. And also you can make money by also selling kits as well, or selling meat rabbits. So if you, like, we have purebred silver fox doe and silver fox buck, and so those babies are purebred silver fox, and it's best if you can keep like a pedigree on them and sell them, but you can sell them for around $50 a piece. And so if you have 8 meat rabbits at $50 a piece, that's quite a good chunk of money that helps. Every little bit helps with, feed or other costs you might have on your homestead. So there are ways that you can make money, and also the knowledge that you have of meat rabbits and things like that, you can teach classes, or even like teaching people on social media like what I'm doing. It can also help you to, that knowledge can also be an income as well. So there are ways to make money raising meat rabbits, but there are skills that you have to learn to be able to do that as well. We only made it through about 3 questions today, but I'll be doing more videos answering more and more questions, so follow along to learn more about raising your own meat rabbits, and let me know if there's anything else I can answer for you in the comments. I have a huge volume of comments across all my social media platforms, so I try to answer questions through videos. I can't always answer every single comment, but I do appreciate every single comment and every person that watches. So I will try to answer as much as I can and put videos out to answer multiple questions at a time. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for watching. If you haven't started raising your own meat rabbits, I hope you get it going soon, and I hope I can be as much help as possible. Follow along for more tips.